You think the game is the same for everyone, that everyone plays by the same rules, that the difference between rich and poor is just how much money each person has in their account. Wrong. Completely wrong. There is an invisible line, an inflection point, a moment where the game changes completely, where the rules are reversed, where everything that worked before stops working and everything that didn't make sense before starts to do so. That point, $300,000. It's not a magic number. It's not accurate. For some, it is 200,000. For another, 500,000. But there is a capital threshold where you literally start playing a different game. A game where money makes money. Where you stop selling time and start selling capital. Where you leave the poor's board and enter the rich's board. And here's the brutal part. Most never get there. You spend your entire life playing the wrong game, following rules that ensure you never accumulate enough capital to change levels. You are intentionally kept on the bottom board, and you don't even realize it. Let me tell you something that Charlie Munger would say without blinking. There is no real social mobility without capital accumulation. Zero. You can work hard all your life, be honest, competent, dedicated. It doesn't matter. If you don't accumulate capital that crosses this threshold, you die in the same class you were born into, maybe a little more comfortable, but fundamentally in the same game. $300,000 is where poor people come out and rich people come in. It's the border. It's the checkpoint. It's the moment where capitalism finally works for you instead of against you. And you are on the wrong side of that line. You'll probably die on the wrong side. Because you don't understand that the line exists, let alone how to cross it. When I started studying real wealth, not the semblance of wealth you see on social media, but genuine wealth that creates freedom, I discovered something disturbing. There is clear discontinuity in how money works depending on how much you have. Under $300,000, you are a hamster on the wheel. Sell time for money, exchange life for salary. It doesn't matter if you make $3,000 or $30,000 a month. You're stuck in the same paradigm. Work, receive, spend, repeat. Until you die or until your body can't take it anymore. Over $300,000 invested? The game changes. Your money starts to work seriously. It generates enough return for you to feel a real difference. It gives you room to take calculated risks. It puts you in a position where opportunities arise. Transforms you from spectator to player. But most never cross that line. Do you know why? First, you don't know the line exists. He spends his life focused on increasing income, never on accumulating capital, looking for promotion, looking for a better job, looking for hustle, everything to earn more. And when do you earn more? Spend more. Income rises, but capital remains zero. You're running faster on the same wheel, thinking this is progress. Second, you confuse equity with capital. Buy a house to have equity. Buy a car because it's an investment. Accumulate things that have value but do not generate returns. Equity makes you look successful. Capital makes you free. You choose to appear over to B, so you never rack up the game-changing $300,000. Third, you bleed capital before you accumulate it. It's going well, coming together, progressing. Then opportunity arises, brother-in-law's business, guaranteed investment, chance to multiply quickly. And you throw away years of accumulation on a bet you don't understand. Returns to zero. Start over. Repeat the cycle. Never getting close to 300,000 because it is always sabotaged first. Fourth, you underestimate how long it takes. He thinks he's going to accumulate 300,000 in 5-10 years. For the majority, it's 15, 20, 25 years. And you have no patience. Want a shortcut? You want a quick method. So give up on the boring strategy that works and pursue promises that you don't keep, and he remains poor. Fifth, you treat money as a flow, not a lake. For you, money is a river. It comes in, goes out, comes in again. You manage flow, optimizes flow. He is proud of having good income, but never represent the river, never creates the lake. And without a lake of 300,000, you never change the game. Sixth, you spend on investing in yourself. Buy courses, buy equipment, buy experience. Everything is investment. But real investment is money making more money without your additional work. The rest is disguised consumption. And you consume compulsively while calling it an investment, ensuring you never accumulate real capital. I saw people earning a lot, 100, 200,000 a year, and never accumulating the 300,000 that would change everything, because they lived on the income limit. Big house, expensive car, expensive school for the children, expensive vacations, lots of assets, lots of status, zero working capital, and I saw people earning average income, 40, 50,000 a year, accumulating the 300,000 because they lived on half of what they earned and invested the money rest compulsively, without ostentation, no status, but with capital growing silently until it crosses the line. 15 years later, high earners were still in prison, still needing the job, still dependent on salary. Those who earned average, free, being able to choose, playing different game. The difference was not income, it was understanding where the line is and having the brutal discipline to cross it. Below 300,000, you play game A. Above 300,000, you play game B. They are completely different games with completely different rules. Game A, the poor's board. Rule 1, time is your only asset. You sell hours. Work, get paid. Stop working, stop getting paid. Your income is limited by how many hours you can sell and how much you can charge per hour. Hard limit, low limit. Rule 2, risk destroys you. Any emergency is catastrophic. Losing a job is a disaster. Illness is bankruptcy. You have no room for error. So you live in constant fear, accepting abuse, tolerating degrading situations because you have no choice. Rule 3, opportunities don't come to you. Good investments require minimal capital that you don't have. Profitable businesses require initial investment that you cannot risk. You are excluded from real opportunities because you don't have enough capital to play. Rule 4, you pay poverty tax. Higher interest rates, higher fees, fewer options, worse conditions. Because you have no bargaining power. There is no capital to negotiate. Then accept what they offer. Rule 5, time works against you. The older you are, the less valuable your time is. Your greatest asset, your ability to work, depreciates with age. You are in a race against the clock that you cannot win. Game B, the rich board. Rule 1, capital is your main asset. Your money works 24 hours a day. While you sleep, while you travel, while you rest. Income is not limited by your time. You are only limited by how much capital you have and how well you invest. Rule 2, risk is opportunity. Emergency? It has a reservation. Losing work? You have time to find better. Market crisis? You have the capital to buy cheap. Risk stops being a threat and becomes a chance to grow. Rule 3, opportunities appear. Good investment with a down payment of $50,000? You enter. Profitable business that needs capitalized partners? You participate. You have access to a game that most people don't even know exists. Rule 4, you negotiate as equals. It has capital, it has power. Get better rates, better conditions, better opportunities. The system that penalized you in Game A now favors you in Game B. Rule 5, time works for you. The more time passes, the more your capital grows. The more it grows, the faster it grows. You're on an upward spiral that accelerates over time instead of slowing down. Same economy, same country, same laws, but completely different games. And the border? $300,000 of invested capital. When I crossed that line, it was like switching dimensions. Literally. Opportunities that were invisible became visible. People who wouldn't pay attention to me started returning calls. Investments that required very high minimums were suddenly accessible. I haven't changed. My competence was the same. My intelligence was the same. But it had capital, and capital transports you to a different game. $300,000 invested with a conservative return of 8% generates $24,000 per year, $2,000 a month, without you doing absolutely anything. Does it seem like little? It is not. It's the difference between, I need to take this shitty job and I can hope for better. It's the difference between, I can't risk it and I can try it. It's the difference between fear and freedom. But there's more, much more. With $300,000, you can enter into investments with a minimum of $50,000, $100,000, which have a much higher return. Investments that require being a qualified investor. Investments that the average person doesn't even know exist. Buy in crisis. When the market drops 20, 30%, you have capital to buy cheap while everyone is selling in panic. This alone can add 100, 200,000 to the net worth in a few years. Take calculated risk. Do you want to undertake? You have the capital to try without destroying your life if you fail. Do you want to change careers? You have time to make the transition without despair. Negotiate from a strong position. In any negotiation, work, investment, partnership, having 300,000 puts you in a position of strength. He's not desperate. You don't need to accept the first offer. This is worth much more than the 300,000 itself. But most will never experience this. You'll spend your whole life hearing that money doesn't matter, that the important thing is to be happy, that the rich are not happier than the poor. It's all a convenient lie that the system feeds you so you don't question why you never accumulate capital. Money, it matters. It matters a lot. Not because it buys happiness. It doesn't. But because you buy options. And options are freedom. And freedom is a prerequisite for any dignified life. 300,000 doesn't make you rich. It makes you free enough to start getting rich. It's the bare minimum to get out of the game where you always lose and into the game where you can win. Below 300,000, you're a beast of burden. Carries weight, it works, produces. And at the end of the day, after paying everyone, there is little or nothing left. You are essential to the system. Without you, nothing works, but you are replaceable, and it is kept in a position where it needs to continue caring. Where stopping charging spells disaster. Above 300,000, you start transitioning. They still work. Most of them work, but not because you desperately need it. They work because you want to, because you like it, because he sees purpose. The nature of work changes when you can say no, and gradually you go from the beast that carries it to the owner that drives it. Your capital works. You supervise, optimize, decide. But it doesn't load anymore. This transition is not automatic. 300,000 doesn't magically transform you, but they create possibility, open the door. And if you keep accumulating, 300 turns into 500, 500 turns into 1,000,000, eventually you cross another threshold where work becomes completely optional. But you will never get there, because you are focused on maximizing how much you carry, not on accumulating capital that takes you out of the beast position. You want a raise, want promotion, want to earn more. This is all about optimizing how much you carry. It's not changing positions. And while you optimize, rich people accumulate capital. The distance between you doesn't decrease, it increases. Accumulating 300,000 is a war of attrition. It is not a single event. It's a long, tedious, frustrating process to keep systematically while resisting 1,000 daily temptations. Most give up, not because it's impossible, because it's too boring, it takes too long. It requires too much sacrifice. You're saving 5 years. There are 50,000. Look around and see people with houses, cars, comfortable lives. You're in a small apartment, an old car, denying yourself things. And you think, well, what for? I'm wasting life. Then you give in, use the 50,000 down payment for the house, and it's over. It went back to zero net capital. He has assets. He has a house. But it has no capital. Didn't cross the border. Continue in game A. 15 years later, you look back and realize, if you had maintained discipline, you would have crossed the line. It would have changed the game, but he traded that for immediate comfort. And now he's too old to start again. This is a common tragedy. Millions do this. They get close to the border and give up because they don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand that there is a line. They don't understand that crossing the line changes everything. I saw this up close. Colleagues who were accumulating well. They arrived in 80, 100,000. They bought a car. They bought a house. They spent it on a wedding. They went back to zero, and they never managed to get back to the rhythm of accumulation. Today, they work because they need to. Arrested. While I, who maintained stupid discipline of not spending accumulated capital, crossed the line, and I'm in a different game. Rich people know something that poor people don't. Capital is more important than income, much more important. You focus on increasing income, they focus on accumulating capital. You want to earn more. They want to have more working for them. A person earning 100,000 a year who spends 90,000 is poorer than a person earning 50,000 who spends 30,000, because the first accumulates 10,000 a year. The second accumulates 20,000. In 15 years, first one has 150,000. Monday has 300,000. Cross the line, change the game. The one who earned the most remains in prison. You need the 100,000 to maintain your lifestyle. You can't risk it. You can't stop. She's a well-paid slave. The one who earned less is free. You can choose. You can try it. You can take a chance. Because it has capital that generates passive income. Rich people understand this viscerally. That's why you see billionaires driving old cars, wearing simple clothes, living in modest houses. Not because they are miserable, because they don't confuse consumption with wealth. Poor people think that rich people are those who spend a lot. Wrong. Rich is someone who has a lot. Spending is irrelevant. It's even counterproductive because every dollar spent is a dollar that isn't being added up. But you learned the opposite. He learned that earning well and spending well is success. He learned that demonstrating wealth through consumption is objective. The system taught you this because it keeps you poor, keeps you working, keeps you producing for others. Until you unlearn this, you are lost. You will chase income, spend what you earn, never accumulate capital, never cross the line, die poor. There's a point where accumulating capital becomes exponentially easier. It's not in the first 100,000. Those are pure suffering. It's not in the second 100,000. It's still heavy grinding. That's when you cross 300,000. Then the math starts really work. For the first 100,000, you're pushing rocks uphill. It's slow. It's frustrating. It seems like it will never arrive. In the second 100,000, the stone is at the top. You're almost there, but it's still pushing. In the 300,000, the stone begins to descend on its own. You don't need to push with the same force. Momentum is on your side. Compound interest is finally showing its face. 500,000, the stone is rolling fast. You're just directing, not pushing. 1 million, It's an avalanche. It grows more in 1 year than you accumulated in the first 5 years, but you need to reach 300. You need to push the damn rock to the top. And most give up halfway through because you don't see results proportional to the effort. They don't understand that it's not linear, it's exponential. But exponential has a brutal initial phase where it seems like nothing happens. You need to go through this phase. If you give up there, you'll never see the good part. Here is the final, merciless truth. You're playing the wrong game. You're focusing on income when you should be focusing on capital. You're optimizing the wrong variable. And as long as you do that, you will continue to be on the wrong side of the line. $300,000. This is the border. It's where the poor leave and the rich enter. This is where the game changes. It's where you stop being a beast of burden and start being an owner. But you won't get there. Statistically, it won't, because you don't have the discipline to accumulate for 15, 20 years without spending. Because you will give in to social pressure. Because you will invest in yourself instead of investing capital. Because you will use money to appear successful instead of being free. And 20 years from now, you will be exactly where you are now, maybe earning more, maybe with more assets, but without capital, without crossing the line. Still in game A, still a slave, unless you change. Today. Now. Stop focusing on increasing income and focus on accumulating capital. Stop spending on status and save compulsively. Stop having unproductive assets and accumulate assets that generate returns. Set a goal, $300,000 invested. It doesn't matter how long it takes, 10 years, 15, 20. You will get there. And when it arrives, everything changes. But for this, you need living on 60, 70% of income. It doesn't matter how much you earn. The rest is capital, untouchable. Ignore social pressure completely. You will appear less successful than your peers for years. Hold on. It's temporary. Be too patient. It will take longer than you want. Much more. Accept and continue. Do not spend accumulated capital. Never. For nothing. A real emergency has separate emergency fund. Capital is sacred. Can you do this? Honestly? Or will you continue playing the wrong game with rules that guarantee you will lose? Complaining that the system is unfair. The system is unfair, but the biggest injustice is knowing the line and still not having the discipline to cross it. $300,000. It's a number. It's possible. Mathematically, you can do it. Psychologically, probably not. But the choice is yours. And when you're old, stuck, bitter, you'll look back and see exactly where you could have changed your game. You will see the moments where you gave in, where you spent capital, where you gave up. Or will you look back and see the moment where you decided that crossing the line was an absolute priority? And it will be on the other side. Free. The difference between these two futures? $300,000 of accumulated capital. Will you accumulate? Or will you spend as you always have and die in game A? Capital changes the rules, but only if you have it.